Miracles, what I heard. Lord, only you can make them happen. It's supernatural. It's like the faith and the spirit is stirred. Lord, only you can make them happen. They're not impossible. It's supernatural, Lord, I believe in your miracles. Miracles are happening. Believe in the impossible. Listen to the words I say. Miracles are on the way. Listen to the words I say. Miracles are on the way. Do you believe? I believe it, I believe it, I believe it. I believe it, I believe it, I believe it. I believe it, I believe it, I believe it. I believe it, I believe it, I believe it. I believe it, I believe it, I believe it. I believe miracles are on my mind. I think about them all the time. Miracles are on my mind. I think about them all the time. Do you believe? It's a blessing we all on one accord. Give grace to your highness for seeing through all the blindness. Miracles can happen when praying.
Hello. Welcome back to Facing Purpose Radio Show. I'm your host, Lakia Barnett, and it's so glad to be back before you on another great Saturday. So I hope you guys are locked and loaded and ready for today's show. I have two special guests with me, and they are going to rock out with me for the next hour. So I thank them so much for joining me on tonight. So, but first, before we bring up our first guest, we got to do some shout-outs, okay? So first of all, shout-out to Miss Latria Russ, one of the sponsors of the show. I thank her so very much for blessing us with all of her knowledge on last week. And we just keep on promoting great things that she is doing with people that suffer in disabilities. And so you guys make sure you follow her on Facebook, Latria Anita Russ. That is her name. Also, as well, the lovely lady that you heard that was just singing was actually Miss Evelyn Drayton, gospel singer sensation, and the song you just heard was Miracles Are On My Mind. I know that's right, because I know God is still showing up in miracles, right? So if you guys want to find out more about what Miss Evelyn is doing, you guys need to go to her email address at www.evelyndrayton.org, okay? And listen, we cannot forget about Miss Ivy Caldwell, 15 times and Amazon author. She's an author 15 times. That's amazing. 15 times as an Amazon bestseller. And her books is Expose It, Let Your Healing Process Begin, Transitioning to the Other Side, and Joy Comes in the Morning. And if you guys want to purchase or follow her or find out more about what she is doing, please go to Ivy at footprintenterprisesllc.com. Okay, so listen, I'm excited about what is going down on this show. Thank God for Mr. Allen, who is my engineer, who helps me do this every week. So you guys make sure you give shout-outs to him and shout-outs to my Tears of Purpose family for always doing what you guys do. And I love all of you so very much. So listen, we are going to get into the tea of tonight. We have author Katira Poland on the line. Hi, are you there?
Yes, hi, how are you?
I am great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
So thank you for joining me on tonight. So why don't you go ahead and let the listeners know just a little bit about you before we start diving in.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Katira Poland. I'm the CEO of Love for Words, which is an editing boutique. And I mostly help authors in the nonfiction field, making sure that, of course, that their books sound good and that they are ready to be published and they resonate with their target audience. And I'm also a 9-time published author. I started writing in middle school, so being an editor is definitely a dream come true.
Wow, 9 times? Goodness gracious. Yeah. I'm telling you, that is a beautiful that is a beautiful thing. So, Katira, go ahead and tell me about how you began writing. Like, how did you know that you were going to write and actually become the author that you are today?
Yeah, so I started writing in middle school. I entered into a poetry contest, and I received an honorable mention. So that was really the kickoff to my writing career, and I also started writing songs, and I've always just enjoyed being able to express myself with writing, of course, with poetry. But whenever there were school projects, I was always excited to create and write reports and write presentations. So I saw that passion early on and felt that passion early on. And I participated in the Pizza Hut Book It program where I think you read a certain number of books and then you get the free pizza pan from Pizza Hut. So that was another, obvious clue that reading and writing would be a part of my life and something that I would pursue. So it really started that young, where I knew I wanted to become a writer and share my thoughts and ideas and help other people share their stories by writing.
That is amazing. That is so amazing. And I love to hear the backstories about how things come about, because people always think it's so easy and
Right.
everything has just happened overnight. And I just be like, yo, that is not real. Not at all. You have no clue what they probably went through before this,
Right.
okay? Like,
Exactly.
at all. So talk to me a little bit about that. Have you ever had a time where you kind of felt like, look, I'm not doing this. I'm giving up?
Yeah, so early in my editing career, I had a lot to learn. There were a lot of, not a lot, but there were some mistakes that I made with just, making the mistake of removing the author's voice. So there were, there was an incident where I felt like maybe being an editor wasn't the right fit for me, and I did get discouraged at that point. But then I realized, that I really do have a passion for it, and also that everybody makes mistakes, and just because I made a mistake doesn't mean this isn't my calling, that I shouldn't still pursue it. But the good side, or the good thing about that, or the upside, is there are, different tools and resources available to help you get better. So instead of giving up on your dream or your calling, you should tap into the resources and people who are there to help you so that you can improve, you can overcome those struggles and mistakes and come out better for it on the other side. So I just had to realize, everybody has their stumbling points and their barriers, but your drive and determination and self-discipline are really what get you through that. And also, making sure that you are adhering to the calling and the purpose of your life and not running when there are challenges or when it becomes difficult.
I agree with you. I can't think of the number of times that I ran around in circles before God was just like, you need to sit down. Like, I'm tired of you doing what you want to do. I didn't chase you. And, and some of y'all that's listening is probably just like, yep, that was me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, I love how you're telling this story on tonight. So listen, when you hear the word purpose, what comes to your mind? Because this is faith and purpose. So what does that look like to you?
Yeah, so purpose is doing the thing that brings you joy despite its challenges. So that's what I think of in purpose. So I actually, recently started a new position where I am a speechwriter, and I've never had a position outside of my business. I've never had an employment position that has been so aligned with who I am as a person and the passions that I have. So, of course, there are days when it's more difficult or it's super busy and demanding, but I know that I'm operating in my purpose because I am willing to accept those challenges. I'm not ready to run like in other positions where, if something was difficult, I was like, I don't like this position anyway. So now I have XYZ reason to dislike it even more, so I'm going to leave. But with this role and, of course, with my business, even when I have a client who maybe is being challenging, or I have something going on the back end of the business that is creating some type of challenge for me or difficulty, I'm not, willing to walk away just because of it, because this is, my passion and this is the purpose and calling that is all my life. So I stick it out because nothing worth having is easy to hold on to or easy to keep. You have to, persevere, and you have to be determined and work through all those challenges. But when you love something or even someone and it's meant for you, you're not going to run. Just during the times of difficulties.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. By you talking, it just reminds me of, and this can go for anybody that may be listening right now that may be like, listen, I'm not happy currently in what I'm doing. And I always tell people, like, if you're not in your passion, if it's not something that you can see yourself getting up and doing, whether you're paid or not, then you need to change that. Change it. Do something about that, because like that. I used to be so upset going to work to some of these jobs that I had. I was just like, this is not my passion at all. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, get rid of it. And so I think that it's so concrete that you mentioned something about that and letting it be your passion, so that when your passion, it will outlive those days, even when it's hard, like you said. So I totally agree with that. So talk to me about the name of this bit, Certified Editing Boutique. Now, you would think, when you hear the word boutique, you would think of like clothes or something like that. So how did that name come about?
Yes, because so my specialty is developmental editing, but I do have a team of freelancers that I work with. So they specialize in proofreading and copy editing. So really we offer, the various types of editing. So you can come into our boutique, so to speak, and get the editing that you need. So if it's already been edited at the high level, like developmental, then you might just need a copy edit, which is like the grammar, spelling. You may need that developmental, which, speaks to your plot. Does it make sense? Does this language resonate with your target market? Do you have one reveal in two different places in the book? Is your character description, is it consistent, or do you have inconsistencies? So that's developmental. Or you might just need a proofread. You may have already done a developmental and copy edit, and you just need one more pair of eyes to go over it. So again, you can come to our boutique and get all three types of, all types of editing, or you can come to us for one type of editing. So I just wanted to embody the fact that we're kind of like we're a one-stop shop for, indie authors, independent authors who are looking for editing services. But not only that, but we have ties to hybrid publishers in the community. We have ties to illustrators, formatters, literary agents, audiobook, voiceover professionals. So again, when you come to Love for Words, we will be able to, if we don't provide that service, we can connect you to reputable professionals who do. So it's really a place you can come and get comprehensive services. So that's why I decided to add boutique on there, just to show, you can get multiple services that you need to become a self-published author.
That is amazing. That is amazing. I like when you say one-stop shop. I know that's right. So you are a statewide speaker. So how has that been for you? How did you kind of get into speaking?
Yeah. I would say the training for that public speaking, it really started, I would say as early as probably middle school, but it became more intense and more focused on my part, I would say, in college. So I was a part of different groups. One of them was the Leadership House. So we were required to do presentations. We had to do presentations on campus for students and organizations, talking about things like time management, diversity and inclusion, important things we need to know in the workforce or as we become entrepreneurs. So at that time is when I really started to hone my speaking skills and learning, about timing and breathing and how to engage your audience, asking questions to get them engaged instead of just talking at them. So it really started there, and, I've been able to go back to my alma mater, University at Buffalo, and be on panels there. I've done virtual workshops at University at Buffalo. I did a virtual workshop at John Jay College. So a lot of that has come out of word of mouth, but, organizations who have vetted me, and then they'll recommend me to other organizations. So a lot of it has just been, it started with me taking the initiative to get better at that. I enjoy public speaking, and of course I want to be able to do that well. So I was in Toastmasters at one point. So it was a long time coming, but it became more focused more on it starting in college, and I just continue to hone my skills and do recorded webinars, and I also did lives. So sometimes like Facebook Live or Instagram Live. So again, that's another way to practice how to present, and especially since COVID, presenting virtually is a whole nother ball game. So how do you engage your audience virtually? What if their cameras are not on? So it's just about doing it and then figuring out what works well, and also staying true and authentic to yourself and your voice, but still captivating and capturing your audience so that they are involved. There should be some elements of entertainment there. You don't want to bore them. So again, it's really practicing as you do it. And then, you can do your research and things like that and find podcasts and YouTube videos and books, and the list goes on of resources that can help you with public speaking.
So good. That is good. So with you doing all of these things, you're a serial entrepreneur. So how do you feel being a 9-time published author? Like, how did that, what did you do when you found out that you were basically on the bestsellers list, basically, and you were categorized in this way? Like, how did that make you feel?
Yeah, I was really excited. I was rewriting my professional bio. And, of course, when you write your professional bio, you need to include, important, exciting facts about yourself. So, I knew, of course, I'm an author, but I was curious to know how many books, I had published. Some of those are also anthologies that I was a part of. So I just did an inventory, and I was really excited to know it was, 9 total. And that includes, like, my ebook and the publications I did on my own, as well as the anthology. So I was really proud of myself. I didn't really take the time out to celebrate that. I didn't realize I had reached that milestone. So it was definitely a proud moment, and it also, showed that my work was not in vain, and that I was, creating a path for myself, and then also a path for others to follow, to follow or reference in case they would like to embark on a similar journey. So it was really a moment of clarity, and, to be proud, and also thankful and grateful that I'm able to do this and publish books. There's so many people out there who don't get the opportunity, or they don't take the opportunity. So I'm just glad that I didn't let any, obstacles or fears get in the way of that, and that I'm able to move forward and show other people that it's possible.
Yes, absolutely. I love this. I love how transparent you are. So when people read your book, what do you want people to take away from it?
Yeah, so, my debut book, Professionalism, was that. It really covers the things we need to know when we enter the workforce. So it's really for, like, college students who just graduated or newbies to the work world. So it covers, how to dress for success, phone etiquette, email etiquette, texting, things like that. And all these elements are important. And at the time that I wrote my book back in 2017, I really just talked about the pros of, these things, how they will help you be better accepted, how your peers will view you. You'll be more likely to get promotions and things like that. So I really want people to walk away with feeling empowered to move forward in the work field, that they know what's expected of them. But as time passed and I matured, one of the chapters that I did revise was the code switching chapter. And code switching is basically, it's adjusting who you are to fit into an environment, or fit in with a group of people, or, a location, etc. So what I did in that chapter is instead of just focusing on the pros of code switching, I talk about the cons as well. So I want people to walk away with more knowledge of professionalism, but I also want them to realize that our view of professionalism is biased. It's Eurocentric based. And if you are not, at least I'm talking about the United States, if you don't fall into Caucasian or white category, you're expected to code switch. And although there are pros, there's also cons to that. So it can be really degrading when people tell you your hair, there's something wrong with the way your hair grows from your head, or your name is not Americanized enough, or your accent is not appropriate or professional, etc. So I really want people to walk away with knowing, yes, we have these standards of professionalism, but they can be a source of discomfort or even shame for people who don't fit into the main or larger society category of what is acceptable.
Yes. So I know that I'm enjoying this interview with you, and I pray that everyone that is listening is getting something out of this, because this is what perseverance looks like. This is what making sure that you stay focused on your goals and attacking each one of them looks like. And you're basically saying no matter what, through your short story, I can just imagine the many other obstacles that you have gone through, is basically saying that, not to give up or whatever that you're called to, and making sure that you're passionate about what you're doing. So you are an example of that, and we thank you for being that example and knowing what your passion is so that you can help others to pursue theirs. So what is next for you, Katara? What is next? I know that we're in halftime of this year. We're literally, I just cannot believe that this year is like halfway over already. But what are you most looking forward to, and what's next for you?
Yeah, so I'm just looking forward to enjoying, the rest of the summer. I live in Rochester, New York, so our summers aren't very long. So I'm enjoying the warm weather right now, so I'm having some downtime with that. I'm also gearing up to start some new manuscripts, editing some new manuscripts, covering a local legend here. And I'm currently working on a fiction manuscript. So what's next for me is just continuing to help with, editing manuscripts. I primarily work with other Black authors and authorpreneurs to help them tell their stories accurately and with pride and love and respect. So I'm looking forward to continuing to do that. And then I also do copywriting, so helping with website copy and newsletter copy, so helping really business owners make sure that their messages are clear and that their language is good to go. So I'm just looking forward to continue helping authors and business owners make sure that their words are resonating and they're happy with the message that's being put out there.
Yes, sounds like a plan to me. So what is your top 2 tips for anybody who wants to get into this type of industry or just wants to simply write a book?
Yes, I would say number 1 is networking, whatever way works best for you. So if you're an introvert, there are plenty of options online, virtual options, trainings, groups that you can be a part of. So networking is very important in the publishing industry, especially for those working with self-published authors. So that's number 1. And then number 2 is my motto is embrace it or change it. So if you come across something that you don't like in the publishing field, you can be the solution to that problem that you see. If you are not satisfied with your performance, you can, do training, you can take courses, you can get a mentor. So you have options on making things better if you're not satisfied with how they are. So the second tip is to embrace it or change it.
I like that. Embrace it or change it.
Yeah.
That speaks a lot of volumes. And I love that you said that if you don't like it, do something about it, okay? And that is my thing. Be the problem solver. You see, listen, there's so many problems in this world that need to be solved. Pick one and let's go. Dismiss all of this complaining. For sure. For sure. I like that. So why don't you go ahead and tell everybody how they can connect with you and where they can find you?
Yes, so you can visit my website. It's love4words.com. That's love4words.com. So my books are available on the website there. If you are ready for the editing stage, your main script is set for that stage. You can also fill out a consultation, and we can talk about your work. I also have a podcast, Editor Knows Best. You can find that information on my website as well on the media page. You can contact me through our message on the website or email me at poland@love4words.com.
Okay, sounds like a plan. And before you leave us, can you please just drop a little bit of encouragement to all the listeners?
Yes, if you are listening and you have a goal, just know that you can achieve it no matter what's in your way. Sometimes that's easier said than done, and I know that people have multiple adversities that they're facing at once, but there's always someone able or willing to help you. Sometimes you just have to take the initiative to find that resource or that person. So don't let, roadblocks stop you from pursuing your dreams, because you deserve to achieve all the dreams that you have.
All right, so you guys heard it first from the author herself, business entrepreneur Tyra Poland. You guys make sure that you check her out. Go follow her. Please support what she is doing. Listen, don't sit around now. She done already gave y'all a bunch of gems tonight, so y'all make sure y'all go and do what is necessary to make you happy in your passion, but also to be able to help other people. That's what it's about as well. So we thank you, Ms. Tyra, for coming on to Faith and Purpose. We're going to stay connected with you, and we thank you so much for blessing us with your gems and all of your knowledge and what you do here on the earth.
You're welcome, and thank you so much for the invitation.
Yes, ma'am. All right, y'all. So we're kicking up in the second gear. But before we do that, listen, we going to go on across the country and across the water. And Mr. Keziah, he is a gospel artist, my friend in Christ, who is awesome, awesome, awesome. Check this out.
Without the vision, the I slowly die. Where are the people with heart full of courage? People with passion to reach the reach. Oh, where are the pillars of faith? Spirit-filled preachers and prophets that pray. Where are the lighters who stands on the faith? People directed to go where God lives. Yes, I know it, I will show it to you. Oh, yeah. I'm the one to will of God. Yes, I know it, I will show it to you. Oh, yeah. Well, I know people who seek sin. Without the vision, their eyes slowly dies. Where are the faithful with heart full of courage? People with passion to reach the unreached. Oh, where are the pillars of faith? Spirit-filled preachers and prophets that pray. Where are the righteous who stands unafraid? People to go, yeah, to go where
Welcome, welcome back from our commercial break, and shout out to all the listeners that are listening. Listen, if you want an opportunity to have your music, your gospel music promoted, your poetry promoted, your events promoted, your books promoted, your business promoted, listen, I'm your girl. I will make sure that it gets across the airways. And listen, so if you want to be a sponsor to the show, it is very, very simple. Please connect with me either on Facebook, or you can actually email me at sp2dance@gmail.com and put in the title section that you would like to be a sponsor to help me with continuing to spread all of this beautifulness across the airway, right? So we're up next with the next guest of the rest of this show, and we're going to invite Mr. Alan T. Black to the show. Mr. Allen, are you there?
I am here, Miss Barnett. How are
Yes,
you doing?
welcome. I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for this great honor to be with you and your audience this evening.
Yes, sir. So why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to dive in to just uncover some other great things that you have been doing.
Well, I am in the great state of Nebraska, which is exactly the middle point of the United States. And contrary to the popular opinion that people have on each side of the coast, we do have life here in the Midwest. It's okay. Not good in the wintertime when it's 5 and 10 below, but that's another story for another time. So, but lived here most of my life, and my journey as far as being a writer has definitely not been a road which was, say, smooth in one direction. I actually started out on the music side years ago as a lyricist, starting back in about 1975. So that's been, 47 years ago, I think, right now. And so I just kind of stayed on that path until 2015. And then the Lord redirected me to become an author, which, Ms. Barnett, I can honestly say was never a part of my plan. I had no intentions of becoming a Christian author, not one.
Wow. Now, this is going to get interesting. This is going to get interesting to me. So, listen, I seen something in your bio, and you love the word transformation. Why is that?
Well, we're all transforming over the course of time, over the course of our journey. And so the person that you were, say, maybe in 2012, chances are you are no longer that person. Something has changed along that 10-year period. And now the things that maybe you used to do, you kind of no longer do, or you moved into a whole different direction. And so I think we all do this over the course of our life. If we would take time to step back, kind of look at ourselves and say, hey, that's kind of different from what I used to do. So I use that word transformation because in my journey, I have definitely been transformed over the period of time in that 47-year period from basically doing things in the music realm as far as being a lyricist and collaborating on songs and creating songs in multiple genres to the point where, say, in 2015, as I mentioned before, the Lord transformed me into becoming a Christian author, which was completely against the grain. And even the process of becoming a writer was something that was completely out of character for what I eventually have become as far as being a writer. I had no experience writing in the authorship world. I truly, Ms. Barnett, had no idea what I was doing. I was just really following what the Holy Spirit was leading me to do. And this was a journey of being transformed where I'm taking each step and really had no idea where I was going, what was going to happen next. It was just a walk of faith more than anything else. I like to tell our audience that, yeah, I did it obediently, and I look forward to it, but that would not be the truth. It was a journey that I was taking. I was hesitant about it. I wasn't sure. I was consistently asking the Lord, oh, God, are you sure you got the right person? Because I know people way more qualified than me, but I have to say, he didn't listen to me, which he's good at doing a lot of times when I just start whining. And I just kept going forward to get to this point here in 2022 where now I've released my third book, and I'm still looking back over this journey over the last 7 years, and I'm still kind of in a state of shock, like, how did this really happen? It's been an amazing journey where I have really become a whole different person in the last 10 years or so, which is something that was not part of my plan. Let me just put it that way.
I love that you are so transparent. I think your story is like many of us. And I think I was just telling someone recently that sometimes God may call you to do something that is out of what you're normally so used to doing. And I love that you mentioned the word obedience, because sometimes we ain't no obedience. We question God, or we say, God, go get somebody else. You got the wrong girl, you got the wrong boy. So this is very funny that you are kind of describing how you were in this process, but I believe that this is going to help somebody, many people that are listening that may be going through this very thing at this moment. So so with your book, Just the Closer Walk, tell me about this book.
This is the third book along this journey. My first book was in 2017. That was called Here I Am, Lord. The second book was in 2019, which is called In the Spirit Intended. And this third book, which is ebook only for right now, Just a Closer Walk, is the third book. And I think the titles of each book, I would like to say, is something that I thought of, but again, that's not being honest. And with each book, I think it's beginning to really bring about a different appreciation, I think, of things that maybe over the course of time that I'm guilty of, say, having taken for granted, and to get to this point now where it is really about just a closer walk. It's really just about the relationship. And I'm in a time in a season, Ms. Barnett, right now where I really find myself just thinking, we have so much to be grateful for. Just the fact that you wake up in the morning is something to be grateful for and to thank God for, because I think all of us at some point in life have taken it for granted. But I think as you get older, I'm 67 now, and I begin to realize, so much of what I have been blessed to be able to do, maybe I did take it for granted. And I told the Lord, well, I was wrong for that, and please forgive me. But I'm in that time of the season now where it's really just about the closer walk. And I mentioned in my bio that I think, and maybe it's just me, I don't know how it is for other people, but it's really not even about your denomination and everything. That's all well and good, but it's really about the relationship that you have with God. How is that shaping and influencing you on a daily basis? And what are you doing to have just a closer walk with Him so you can have that real sense of purpose, and as much as anything else, a real sense of peace, because we all need that sense of peace in these crazy times that we're living in.
Absolutely, I agree. I agree, and something so key is just the relationship with God is important. Because for me, you can scream Jesus, Jesus all day, but if your relationship doesn't look like that, what you're saying, I'm just like, maybe you want to go check that out, because you can have many people scream Jesus, Jesus, but when it boils down to it, what is your relationship like with Him? Do you know Him on an intimate level, like you do everything else in your life? If you're trying to court somebody, you ain't going to just start dating them. You're going to get to know that person. You're going to spend time with them. And I think that's how people really need to look at it when it's concerning God as well. So when you hear the word purpose, Mr. Allen, what comes to mind?
I think for me, as much as anything, purpose is really about what is it that you are being called to do. Each of us have a purpose/calling. I think the challenge for all of us on a daily basis, if we're going to be transparent, is, are you first of all willing to acknowledge what your purpose is? And then, as much as anything else, with that acknowledgement, you have to be willing to say, okay, this is my purpose, because some of us will have one thing in mind that we feel is our purpose, and God's saying that's not what your purpose is all about. I need you to listen to me and be drawn to me, because I will reveal to you what my real purpose for you is. And so I think of purpose in that particular dynamic. And I also think, too, Ms. Barnett, about the fact that when you talk about purpose, then there comes a point in time where you have to stand in front of a mirror as such and look at yourself and say, okay, this is my purpose. Am I willing to embrace it, and am I willing to run with it? And I think a lot of times we want to talk about taking our purpose and going forward with it, but we have to recognize that it's not all good when you do that. There are going to be rough patches. There's going to be a lot of hard times when you are fulfilling your purpose. But that's all part of that journey, because even those difficulties that you are able to persevere through, when you get to, say, the other side, then your purpose is reflected by how you are on a daily basis, how you carry yourself, how you interact with other people. And whether we realize it or not, people are watching what we do more so than what they are listening to as far as what we say. You know, I was taught that your actions speak louder than your words. And so I think it's important in these days and times that we are mindful of the fact that as you're fulfilling your purpose, somebody's watching. And it's also important to keep in mind, Ms. Barnett, that as somebody's watching, they are looking at you and they're seeing in you perhaps something that they need for themselves to say, hey, that person is really going after what it is they've been called to do. Maybe I need to do the same for what God's calling me to do, and they can draw inspiration from you, and they can have a greater sense of confidence about what it is God's calling them to do as well. So purpose is really multi-layered. I think it is quite challenging at times because we don't necessarily rush to embrace it because sometimes we're afraid of what it's really going to do. How's it going to change us? Does it perhaps put us into a different arena where the people that were used to the old us are now going to have to get used to a different us? And are you willing to say, okay, they're going to have to come along with me as I'm being changed, or do I leave them behind? So it's a very challenging issue dealing with your purpose, but your purpose is your purpose. I think we always have to keep that in mind and not think about the fact that, well, if somebody is doing this, you want to do that. Well, you probably weren't called to do that to begin with. So go after what God's calling you to do, and he's going to equip you to take you to the level that you need to go to.
That's a great breakdown of the word of purpose. So you are a song lyricist, so tell me about that part of you.
That really, to be honest, Ms. Barnett, that's really the heartbeat of Alan Blythe. That's really what I want to do. And I mentioned when we first started talking about how your journey is not necessarily a smooth road, that you start down one path and somehow it intersects with something you're being called to do later. I'm saying that to say this: the music side of me is really what my passion is. I love lyrics. I was that nerdy kid that would just sit and listen to a record over and over again as a 9 to 10-year-old because I just wanted to know what was the story that was being told and why was it being told. And so my love for lyrics got me to the point where in 75, I just finally decided, I want to kind of start writing lyrics for a song to see what I could do with it. And I had a critical moment in time where I took the first set of lyrics that I wrote to one of my college professors who was my mentor, and I was scared to death to do that because I was thinking, well, he's going to shoot me down and he's going to tell me that, hey, you need to just worry about getting your degree and stop all this foolishness. And I was prepared for myself mentally to have that conversation with him in that particular aspect. But he actually went the other way. He told me that, you know what, you've got some talent here. You want to work on it and develop it and see if that will be what you want to do with your life as you're getting older. You get into the workforce and things like that. And I'm sharing this because, Ms. Barnett, that was in 1975, in the fall of 75. So that's been 47 years plus. But the importance of that moment in time is the fact that the professor who was my mentor gave me words of encouragement that kind of planted the seed for me to keep going forward with my writing. It also illustrates to me the importance of the words and conversations that we're having with people, because we have power in our words, and you can either lift up somebody, you can encourage them, or you can squash their dream and just make them feel like, hey, what they're trying to do, they're not qualified to do. So I'm always aware of the fact that the words that we speak, the Bible talks about the power of the tongue, and certainly in my case, it was profound what my professor told me, because here I am 47 years later, moving forward with the writing, which then kind of intersected with, say, the the Christian authorship beginning in 2015, but all of that emanates from that one conversation in 1975. So I always tell people, and I listen to the artists that's listening, be mindful of what you're saying to somebody, because you can literally alter their course, the path they may follow, just by what you share with them because of your potential influence over them. So I just continue to do music. I've done collaborations in gospel, soul, pop, hip-hop, R&B, and even 5 years ago, I ventured way out in right field, went out into country and did that, which a lot of my friends looked at me like, okay, so you're a black man in the middle of the country, you came out of the project, so how did this country thing come along? And I explained to them that as a lyricist, Ms. Barton, as you know, you are creating a story. You're creating something that people are going to listen to, they may identify with, or they may say, I need to know more about that. So the two songs that I collaborated with for country, I did so because I created the storyline first, and then I had to step back and say, what's going to be the best genre of music to express what it is I'm saying here lyrically in this potential song? And so I made that determination that it needed to be country. And so I got with a company in Nashville probably about 5 years ago to create the music and hire the vocalist for each song. And I've been very blessed because actually in 2021, I got a lot of airplay over in Europe for about 4 or 5 months or so with both of the songs that I did. And so, but again, that just kept that writing capacity in me. It kept growing and growing and growing. And so that's really my passion. But in 2015, it took a whole different direction because God just told me, you know what, that's all well and good, but now it's time for you to really start doing what it is I really have in mind for you. And that was to become a Christian author, which is, that's a whole nother layer of a story, which I'm still kind of dumbfounded by because, again, it was not my plan.
Absolutely. So, with everything that you are doing now, or have done already, can you provide 2 tips to the listeners on if they want to become authors or they want to, or anything that they may inspire to do? What are your top 2 tips that you want to leave with the listeners tonight?
The 2 tips that immediately come to mind for me, Ms. Barnett, is number 1, if that is your passion, make the commitment to pursue it. Yes, it's going to be scary, but it's easy for everyone else to say, well, maybe you need to find something else to do, but that passion that's burning inside of you is there for a reason. Don't try to just ignore it or hide it under a bush or whatever the case may be, because that's your passion, and step up and embrace it. The second thing is, as you're going through this, make it a point to recognize the fact that you don't have to go through that journey by yourself. Humble yourself and reach out to people that you know are in a position to assist you to get to the point that you need to get to. None of us are designed to go through this journey by ourselves. As it says, man is not an island unto himself. So as you're doing, if it's authorship, if it's music, or if it's a business you're trying to run, make sure that you're able to reach out and to network with people, because there are people out there whose purpose probably is to be in a position to help you do what it is you've been called to do. So if I had 2 tips, I would say those are the 2 tips more than anything else. Follow your passion and make sure you get connected with people who can help you, such as yourself, as far as the fantastic things that you're doing. It's about reaching out and learning how to network. I was in the teacher education field for 14 years before I retired, and that was one of the things I always talk to my students about as their academic advisor and counselor is, this is your passion, and I want you to fulfill your passion, but I also want you to learn how to network and how to plug into people and different opportunities to really get you to the level that you want to go to. So I would say for me, those are the 2 tips that are most pressing more than anything else.
Okay. Great. So why don't you go ahead and let everyone know how they can connect with you on social medias, or where they can go purchase your books and stuff.
They can go to my website, which is Alan, ALANT, and information about all three books is there. And I'm also on Instagram, which is still kind of amazing for somebody who's 67 years old and doesn't really know much about social media. I'm under Alan T. Black 55, and that's ALANTBLACK.com. No, I'm sorry, Alan, ALANT Black 55. 55 is the year that I was born. So they can get information about who Alan Black is through my Instagram, and certainly my website as well. And Ms. Barnett, the last thing I want to leave with the audience, I just thought about this, if I can share this, if I can, is
Oh, yes, go ahead.
God is not a respecter of your age, because my journey to become a Christian author started at 60 years old. There was no way in the world I had any intention of starting to become an author at 60. None. Saying that to say this, whatever your calling is, whatever your purpose is, if that's what God has instilled in you, he doesn't care about your age. I have seen people online who are like 80 years old releasing their first book or opening up their first business. But it shows that they had a commitment, and they said, you know what, this is something I want to do. And they just said, my age is not going to be something I'm going to worry about, because God put this in me for a reason and for a time in the season. So age is irrelevant. Just do what you're called to do, and you'll be happy when you do it.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that. Because some people really do think, oh, I'm too old, I can't do it, it's too late, and that is not true. So
No.
this is an epitome, and you are an example of what it doesn't matter about your age or how old you've gotten. You can still pursue what you need to pursue. So thank you so much, Mr. Allen, for coming on and blessing us with your tremendous story, with sharing wisdom with us on this evening. So do you have any events or anything coming up that you would like to announce?
Well, right now I'm in the process of actually planning my book signing. My social media person is planning that. We're looking at September. I haven't set a date yet, but I'll be sure to let everybody know. And we're just going to do it. I've never done this before, but again, that's the power of networking, because my social media person said, well, we can do a book signing even though it's an ebook. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm going to trust you and I'm going to make it happen. So I'm excited about that coming up. And God also put me in the media area where I'm actually a radio show host as well. So I host a radio show with 3 other men from different denominational backgrounds. The program's called AJDW Conversation. And we do a program every Sunday where the 4 of us just talk about life issues, our relationship with God. And we've been blessed to do this for now a year and a half. And through the podcast, I think we're up now, Ms. Barnett, to about 80,000 listeners in the last year and a half. So that's been an amazing journey. I had no intention of becoming a radio show host, co-host with 3 other gentlemen, but a friend of mine reached out to me and said, hey, I want you to do this. I said, okay, let's do it. Let's see what happens. So that's been great. It's called AJDW Conversation. The audience can just put it in their Google search, and they'll see 4 of us coming up. And 4 guys from 4 different walks of life who really become close friends and really strong in our relationship as men. And we're open, we're transparent, we're very vulnerable on the air. And we just share our thoughts, our hopes and dreams and things like that. It's been a blessing. It really has been.
Awesome, awesome. So we thank you so much for coming on to Facing Purpose and joining us tonight. And I am going to keep pushing and promoting what you have going on, because it is awesome. So let us know if you have any other updated events or anything that you have your hands in. Let me know, and I'll be glad to announce it over the air as well. So thank you so much, Mr. Allen Black, for coming on and blessing us with all that you do tonight.
Thank you again for allowing Ms. Barnett. It was truly, truly my honor. I hope what I shared is encouraging to somebody, and I always say if I said something that encouraged somebody, I'm not that deep, I'm not that smart. It's just me trying to be obedient to what God's telling me to do.
Amen. So thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. So we have come to the end of our show, and I am pleased to just say that I'm thankful for being able to really connect with different people all over the world. Sometimes you don't even have to step foot in different countries or different places. Sometimes there are other ways to be able to connect with people and like-minded kingdom people as well. So I thank all of you for joining me on tonight. I will be back. Each Saturday at 7 p.m. at Eastern Standard Time, every Saturday, to bring you more entrepreneurs, more authors, people that have stories, people who have overcome some things. And if you too would like to be a guest, please make sure that you reach out to me either on Facebook or you can email me at sb2dance@gmail.com. And listen, I'm going to be celebrating my 4-year anniversary coming up July 22nd, virtual style. Listen, don't y'all be talking about virtual, because virtual is it, okay? Y'all should have learned that from the pandemic, so don't be sleeping on virtual stuff. But I will be celebrating 4 years of anniversary, so come celebrate with us. If you want to do that, I will post the information on my regular page, or if you're hearing this and you're saying, Elder, look, I need you to send this to me, I will be gladly to send you an invitation to come join us and celebrate 4 years of wonderful ministry with Tears of Purpose Monologue Ministries. And stay on the lookout, because we are doing some great things. I will be filming next weekend, so keep us in prayer for our project, Why Didn't I Listen? I promise you it's going to be a must-see for all family and children to see. So you guys, I thank you guys for rocking out with me another great Saturday, and I am out, and you guys be blessed. Have a good night.
From the bottom of my heart, miracles are on my mind. I do believe in miracles. Spending time in the Word, miracles are what I heard. But only you can make them happen